you're in the music scene, you're in not just the music scene, but you're in kind of the subculture wing of the music scene. You're in these subcultures that are pretty wild and aggressive in a way, right? And very flamboyant, you know, the styles, the dress, the music is all very flamboyant, the tattoos. And they also, musicians, like artists, like poets, like intellectuals, tend overwhelmingly to be left wing.
Hmm.
And so it's like culturally, there's a lot of freedom there, I
Hmm.
guess. Maybe. I mean, that's how I see it. You could also say
Prior
there's what?
prior to 2020.
Oh, okay. I want to hear about that. But I mean, you know, there's people are allowed to express themselves in all sorts of ways that they're not allowed to express themselves in, like your typical Republican town in Alabama.
Correct.
Okay, good. There are things about conservatism that I don't like. I want to I'm establishing that right now, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
and in fact, I think left wing politics, and it's kind of what I'm sure you've heard me talk about a lot, is actually in conflict with that kind of cultural freedom, because socialism and even progressivism require sacrifice of ourselves for the greater good, for the community, for the state. I'm just kind of talking here. I just want to get your feelings, because you're someone who's been in these worlds that are so goddamn different, right? So you've got these basically punk rock types, right? Who you're dealing with in your music world. You got firefighters. That's an
Mm.
entirely different, that's a yet another culture. I don't even know what that culture is. I'd love to hear. And then you got libertarians you've been hanging out with. Well, we haven't even mentioned one thing. So you're named
Oh,
after, I guess, the most probably, yeah, the most famous conservative in American history, right?
I guess he is. He's the most hated by my brand of conservatism. That's the whole irony.
Joe Buck, the baseball commentator. No, just kidding. You're named
Yes.
you're named after William F. Buckley.
Yes, basically. It cringes. I cringe just saying it, but I am. And yeah, boy, Rothbard hated him. He hated Rothbard
I know.
too, of course. And all of the good conservative right wingers just didn't like William F. Buckley. And I'm on their side, but I was named after him. Damn it. My brother's named after Barry Goldwater. I would have taken that instead.
Because your dad was a big. Oh wow, check it out. So he's showing a Goldwater. Was Miller? Who was his running mate? I don't even know this. Who was Goldwater's running mate? Who was
I
Miller?
guess that guy, I should know this because I've read his biography, but
I should know this because I'm an American historian.
15 years.
Joe is showing a Goldwater election campaign pin for those listening. So your dad was a big, like, right wing, obviously Republican type,
Yes, still is.
and still is, and that's what you were raised around.
Till I was about 10 when they split up, because then we moved out of state. And obviously my dad's influence was still there. We saw him regularly, just not, I wasn't immersed in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so really it's interesting, my teenage years where you kind of start forming more of your uh, just kind of opinions and analysis on society. And I was not with my father, I was with my stepfather and mom. And so that, I think that kind of swayed me away from leaning right through my 20s, because like when I was a early libertarian, I would say that I was a kind of blue pilled, left leaning reasonite type libertarian,
Mm-hmm.
which fit my lifestyle at the time.
Yeah, totally. I was going to say that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you've become paleo, because you're a musician covered in tattoos.
Yeah, but I'm old and married and
Yeah.
want small town life and want the left to leave me the hell alone.
Is that, oh, so is it really about the change in the way you're living? So you recently moved from the city where you're a firefighter to Lockhart, which is a small town south of Austin.
Yeah.
And it's kind of idyllic, and you're married. Is that really why you're now paleo and don't like left-wing cultural stuff?
I don't think that I would say that's why. I think my lifestyle, it's almost like as you age and develop and evolve with and as the society around you starts to change, which it did giantly in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
you start to see what's more valuable and what you don't want to be a part of anymore.
Mm.
And so the whole time, of course, I'm interviewing people from Mises and reading further and always trying to explore more ideas until I came upon this paleo libertarian strategy from the 1990s. And after reading all these pieces from Rothbard and Rockwell, I thought, I guess this is a better way to describe me these days.
Now, wait a second. So the paleo strategy of Rothbard, I mean, are we talking about his courtship of the super far right, like
Oh,
back in the
Patrick
90s?
Buchanan. Yes, this is my
Yeah.
favorite. That's my favorite Rothbard.
But oh wow. So you're talking about like the David Duke stuff.
Yes, but that insult gets thrown out the at he
Well,
he he was only he was not saying I like everything about David Duke.
I know.
And okay. Yes, but it is that stuff.
But it was an alliance. It was a coalition
He
with
just wrote a piece defending him. They didn't I don't think that he ever met him.
gotcha. Okay. But I mean, I don't know this. What did Rothbard say was the strategy? Like what was he trying to accomplish?
So the paleo strategy was basically a withdrawal from the LP. It's interesting because
Libertarian Party.
yeah, sorry for just throwing that out there at Libertarian Party. If you read those pieces now, which my friend Tho Bishop has gotten the permission from Lou Rockwell to republish all of these over the next year, boy, it relates to right now, the time and the place that we're in politically, because Rothbard was basically saying the Libertarian Party is full of a bunch of jokers and losers, and they're not doing anything. They've never done anything. They've been in the same spot, just spinning their wheels decade after decade. And all they're celebrating is stuff that mainstream culture, mainstream voters don't care about. In other words, back then, just the hippie aspect of libertarianism was just not appealing to your average voter. And so he said they were culturally right anyway, Lou Rockwell and Murray Rothbard. You know what? The right wing, these guys with Patrick Buchanan after the Cold War and everything is gone, and Vietnam and all of this. Wait a second, they're not overseas interventionists anymore. They don't want to fight wars. This segment of the right.
Yes.
Wait a second, they actually align with what we're saying. They're just culturally conservative. Rothbard saying, well, so am I. And so, and Ron Paul was part of this as well. And so rather than continue the wheel spinning that was just going on within the Libertarian Party, Rothbard broke apart and said, I'm done with this. I'm aligning myself. I'm going to endorse Patrick Buchanan for president. Here's why. And the meetings that happened through the years were basically, look, guys on the right, we agree with you on cultural issues. You've got to come our way a little bit on economics. And they did not in the end. And so that's ended up why it fell apart. Hans Hermann Hoppe had a nasty piece about Patrick Buchanan's economics. I believe there were some face-offs and whatnot, but
yeah. Okay. Thank you.